Hi, good people. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy that you guys can join me on here, and I'm so happy that you guys have been enjoying the playlist. Honestly, when I put out that playlist, I just said, God, I don't know what's gonna happen, and you guys literally just surprised me, like the positive feedback and that you guys were enjoying it. And also, I want to thank you guys for watching my previous video where we were talking about you don't need a lot. So today I'm going to be talking about a very common phenomenon in our society today, and that's imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is something that is really, really common that people tend to actually just overlook. And, scientifically speaking, it's something that's rooted within the spirit of fear. Spiritually speaking, not scientifically. Scientifically speaking is something that is just, your pattern of thinking. But spiritually speaking is something that is rooted within the spirit of fear. Whew. With imposter syndrome, it typically occurs in women. Reason being, with women, they're more emotional, and males, they're more logical. So imposter syndrome actually really plays on people's emotions. So as a woman, it plays on your emotions. That's why it's more common in women than it is in males. And imposter syndrome, like I said, spiritually speaking, it's rooted in fear. You would actually be operating under the spirit of fear. Scientifically speaking, it is basically a mental behavioral problem. It's just a behavioral, you're just behaving different because of the way you think and the way you see the world. So before I go on further, I just want to say this is going to be amazing, because literally a lot of people suffer from this, and sometimes people don't have anyone to tell. Some people, sometimes they suffer in the dark, because they don't have someone to actually share this with and say, I'm actually struggling with this. Or people might have termed them crazy, or people might just have said that they just have low self-esteem and then just disappear. With imposter syndrome, it has a large spectrum. The spectrum is from perfectionism all the way to low self-esteem. And with imposter syndrome, a lot of people have faced it in their lifetime. They have faced it, and some of them would have just ignored it and kept on moving, and some of them may actually be stuck in life because of that one thing. So imposter syndrome typically is, for example, you find yourself in a situation where you are about to be promoted, and they promote you and they give you a new job, a new house and a car, and then you start feeling uncomfortable that they gave it to you. You start feeling like maybe they made a mistake. Maybe they think I'm someone that I'm not. So that's also a sign of imposter syndrome. Or for example, maybe you get a test and people around you, they fail and you pass it, and then you actually downplay your capabilities and you say, oh, I'm just lucky. It's not that I'm clever or anything, it's just that I'm lucky. Imposter syndrome is something that is really bad, because it is something that then determines your choices in life. It'll determine choices as simple as where you decide to eat, to something as complicated as who you decide to marry, what kind of job you decide to apply for, where you decide to live. And with imposter syndrome, you get this idea that you're living within your true identity, when actually it's false. With imposter syndrome, you're not living within your true identity. You're living within the identity that you think is true, but is actually not true, but is based in lies. And that is what the spirit of fear does. It tells you lies. It tells you lies that you can't achieve, that you can't go out there, that you can't stand out. It tells you that where you are is where you deserve to be. And I tell you that it is by grace. It is by grace and not by works. Everything that we have is actually by grace. And yes, you will actually work, but like it is by grace. It's God's grace. So the fact that you've gotten actually that job is God's grace. It's not you. It's not you. It's not you. It's the grace of God. But still, God needs you to go to that job. God needs you to go to that job and work and get money and live life. Yeah, so imposter syndrome. So we're going to take a look in the Bible to see who actually had imposter syndrome. So it's actually really funny because I was thinking about it like 3 weeks ago, and I realized that this man had imposter syndrome. I had read the scripture about it, but I didn't really pay mind to it. But then 3 weeks ago, when I wanted to start talking about imposter syndrome, God then showed me that this man had imposter syndrome. So the man I want to talk about who had imposter syndrome is none other than Saul. So Saul typically is a young man, and his father has sent him with donkeys, and then he loses those donkeys, right? He loses those donkeys, and then next thing, he's looking for those donkeys. And he's looking and he's looking and he's looking and he can't find them. He's like looking everywhere and he can't find the donkeys. And then him and the person that he was with, they then decided, let's go and see the seer, and that was Prophet Samuel. So they go and see Prophet Samuel, and Prophet Samuel says to him, you know what, you're going to be king. He prepares a meal for him, a meal fit for the king. That's what he prepares for him. And we're going to talk about that later, not in this video. But he prepares a meal fit for the king. And then he says, you're going to be king, right? And so it's like, I'm going to be king. I'm sure he was surprised. It's like, but I'm from the least, people. How am I going to be king? And then Samuel's like, you're going to be king, right? So this is all paraphrasing. Please go and read it by yourself. So anyways, what does Saul do? So it's like in agreement. He tells him like, oh, this is what's going to happen. What, all that. That's Samuel telling Saul. And then Saul, right, the day comes for him to be anointed as king. What does Saul do? So basically they are doing, they're calling out people tribe by tribe by tribe. And then they get to the point where now Saul is his opportune time to be anointed as king. And they can't find him. They're looking, they can't find him. They were looking, they couldn't find him. Samuel then asked God, say, God, where is Saul? And God then says he is hiding behind the baggage, right? So Samuel then goes behind the baggage and then he finds Saul. He takes Saul out and he brings him in front of the people. And guess what it says? It says that Saul stood taller than the rest. He stood taller than all of them. So the thing about imposter syndrome, that imposter syndrome will make you feel like you don't deserve something. It'll make you feel like you have to work really hard in order to receive something. It'll make you feel like whatever you have in life, if you don't work hard for it, then you don't deserve it. Because Samuel had just found Saul. Saul had just lost his donkeys. First of all, this is a person who lost donkeys. Guys, donkeys. Donkeys need minimal effort. He lost donkeys. He lost the donkeys. And he goes to Samuel, and Samuel prepares a meal for him. And then he's like, you're going to be king. And it's so funny that Saul in him had an identity to say, but I'm from the least. Like, why would they pick me? That is the thing with imposter syndrome. Sometimes when you had been the underdog for a long time, when an opportunity comes, you will feel as if you don't deserve that opportunity, because opportunities have come before and they have missed you. Now when a great opportunity comes, it's like, I don't deserve it. Because his mind had been conditioned. His mind had been conditioned that he is not from the people who make it in life. His mind had been conditioned that he is not from the people who stand out. His mind had been conditioned that he's not from the people who achieve and do great things. So it was only when Samuel, right, found him behind the baggage. So what does the baggage represent? The baggage represents your baggage and the baggage of other people as well. The baggage that you have put in your own life, your own thinking, your own thought process to say, this is what I deserve. This is who I am. This is how I move, and this is what I do. That is the baggage. But it says that when he moved away from the baggage, he stood taller than everyone else. So Saul was hiding behind the baggage. So you could be a very powerful individual and hide behind the baggage. You could be a very influential person and hide behind the baggage. You can be a very intelligent person and hide behind the baggage. So in our lives, that's how demonic imposter syndrome is. It's very demonic. He was hiding behind the baggage. But the moment you move away from the baggage, you stand taller than everyone else. Taller than everyone else. So imposter syndrome will tell you that you stay there. You're supposed to hide there. You're supposed to be there. Right? But when you spend time with God and God begins to reveal his identity to you, and in him revealing his identity to you, he then reveals your identity. So now Samuel, he's the one who then finds him, which represents God himself, finds him behind the baggage and takes him away from the baggage, and he stands in front of the people. So it will take the grace of God to move you from where you are to where you need to be. So that is imposter syndrome, my friends. We will talk about the medical aspects of imposter syndrome. Not today though. But yeah, this is just the spiritual aspect, for Christians, for you to know that this is what we're fighting against, that it is a spirit of fear. And like I said, imposter syndrome is ruthless. It is a ruthless thing because it will determine the life that you live. It will determine the choices that you make. It will determine the places that you go to, the people that you meet, because of how you see yourself. So opportunities may come. Imposter syndrome also works together with self-sabotage. It works in perfect unison with self-sabotage. To say when an opportunity comes, you then self-sabotage yourself because you believe that it is not for you. So guys, that's all I have to say. There's a lot. Even if you go and read the story of Saul, there's a lot that has to be unpacked there. There's a lot. But anyways, guys, like I said, I have to go. I'm so happy that you guys stayed this long to listen to what I had to say. And I hope this video blessed someone. And yeah, I will do more videos on imposter syndrome, also do videos on different mental behavioral problems and the spiritual aspects as well. So yeah, guys, stay tuned. It's gonna be an amazing ride. Thanks.